All right, it seems there was this lady. She was shopping. I don't think she was an NCRO member, but she went shopping and she stopped by this pet shop and she saw this large, beautiful parrot. And she asked, "Man, I got to have that parrot." And she saw the sign on it, $50. So she asked the pet store owner, it's like, "Why so cheap?" And he says, "Well, miss, I got to tell you, this parrot used to live in a house of ill repute. And sometimes it says some things that are kind of nasty and kind of vulgar." And she thought about it. She said, "Well, you know what? I can deal with that." So she bought the parrot, brought it home, put the cage in the in her front room, and just stood back and waited for it to say something. And parrot looks around, says, "New house, new madam." And the lady goes, "Whoa." It's like, "I didn't expect that." So, but you know what? I could deal with that. So that's okay. So a few minutes later, her two teenage girls come home from school, and Parrot looks at them and says, "New house, new madam, new girls." It's like, whoa, hey man, that's But they after a few minutes they laughed, and so a few minutes later, her husband walks in, and he looks at the parrot. Parrot looks at him, says, "Hi, Bob. Good to see you again." You like that one, Dave? That okay? All right. Yeah. All right. All right. So I know parrot jokes are good. Okay, for the future. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our what is this? The 60th NCRO breakfast meeting. Thank you for attending. My name is Mike Cipineri. I'm the MC for this morning. I'll just mention a few things, and then we'll get on with the program. But the first thing I want to mention is how was your breakfast? Good. And also for the wait staff, yes. San Marino has been our home, I think, 15, 16 years, at least 15, somewhere around there. So this has been our home base for a while. Let's see. Like I mentioned, this is our 60th breakfast meeting, and that is kind of amazing when you think about it, that we've been able to keep this thing going, and all of you have been able to support this. I got to mention, all of you look exactly the same when we started this first breakfast meeting. None of you have changed a bit, so that's a good thing. Let's see. I think we had 106 people here today. That's our count here at the breakfast, and another 60 or so have signed up for the webinar. So it's good turnout. Good turnout. Let me just go over a few things. Our website, please continue to go to our website, ncro.org. Get some the information that Rick Golpe and his team put together. He always keeps it fresh and informative, not only relative to NCRO or Chrysler, but in general too. So it's really a good website for really anybody. You can also update your profile, your contact information, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses. You can do that just by going to the members tab and sign in. And if that's a little bit too difficult, you can call our office and we'll do it for you too. So a lot of times that's what we end up doing. Please continue to support our retiree-friendly dealers. They are the dealerships that advertise on our website. So please continue to support them. It's a good revenue source for us, and hopefully it helps them out. I think we have 7 dealers that advertise on our website, and we have some representatives here this morning. So if I can introduce, and please give us some information. Give us your name, your sales pitch, any deals you got going, all the way up.
Hello.
There you go.
There we go. Good morning, everybody. Mike Gowling from Gowling Chrysler in Bloomfield Hills, Grosse Pointe, Chelsea, and Roseville, so AKA Southeast Michigan. I just always appreciate being here. Always good to see everybody. There's a lot of familiar faces that we see come through the dealerships as well. So thank you all for the business that you bring to us. And We're always happy to be here and honored to be part of your breakfast and your association. And congratulations on the 60th breakfast. That's great. So.
Good morning. I'm Brian Ackerman from Jim Reel's Friendly Automotive. We got stores in Warren, Washington Township, and Lapeer. And as Mike said, we do enjoy being part of this, and we're always eager to help any Chrysler retirees, family members, sales, service, parts, body shop, whatever you need. We just got new incentives, actually, talking to Mike and Matt yesterday on our Jeep Cherokee, which was desperately needed. So if you're looking for a deal on the new Cherokee, come see us. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that. I thought I heard somewhere before, buy a car, get one free, something like that. Yeah, that's pretty good deal. That's pretty good deal. So that's a pretty good deal. So, all right, just last couple things. Our insurance committee does a great job. So if you have any questions relative to insurance or blah, 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 call the office, and we always put you in touch with a representative from our insurance committee. Before I get into agenda, kind of the sports report here. Like I've said in the past, tough being a sports fan in Detroit. The Pistons gave it a shot, right? They almost got there. Did we ever guess that we'd be relying on the Lions to bring us up? But any Knicks fans here? Any Knicks fans? Yeah, really? Did you celebrate by burning a bus? Is that okay? No, they did it. So okay, enough of that. All right, here we go. Jay Cooney, our president, will be up here in a second to bring us up to date on information relative to Chrysler, NCRO, and in general. Then our keynote speaker today is Chris Theodore, and lessons learned from masters and mentors. And Q&A will open up around 11:45-ish, and we should have you out by noon, 12:15. So with that, Jay.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning to everybody. I'd like to give you my welcome as well, and also welcome to all the members that are on the webinar. Sight unseen, but we appreciate them being here. Did you switch? Did I switch? I'm sorry. Did you switch me off already for that? I'm good. Whoop. I'm not good. I'm back. Okay. Appreciate Chris coming to us and speaking with us today. I'm interested in what he has to present to us. Can you hear me now? Good. I will try to make sure you can hear me. Okay. The other thing I'd like to thank is Dale and his crew of men over here that are responsible for setting up and managing the webinar, and for just making the presentations better. The interesting thing is we have a little TV up here that we can see our presentation. We don't have to keep looking back and forth. That way you can't hear us. So I just have a few things I want to talk to you about today. Just to update you. First of all, I want to do a little NCR update on the Retire Release program. I'll talk a little about that in a second. Then I want to talk to you a little about what's going on with the NRLN. You are all members, as I've said before, of the NRLN, and there's a few things that are going on right now in our crazy world of Washington, D.C. Has anybody seen anything on TV and whatever, how maybe crazy it is in Washington? Fortunately, we're not going this year. We're not going until February, so I'll talk a little about that later. Retire Lease Car Program. How many of you are participants in the Retire Lease Car Program? A lot. That's good. How many of you have had some angst about what's going on with it? I know I've heard and seen a lot of questions either to us as the NCRO or watched down on the blogs what's going on. We got all sorts of issues and, increased costs. We've got limited availability. Can't get what I want to order, and delivery fees now that we never had before. So obviously we thought it's probably time to take a look at what's going on. And so we got in touch with the company car people. Had some conversations back and forth, on the telephone and also texts and emails, just to kind of get a little idea of why things are going on. So hopefully this won't sound like a corporate ad, but I just want to tell you why they say things have changed and what's going on with it. First of all, I will say that the Retire Lease Car program is not necessarily good for everybody. I know for me, I have a car that's like almost 7 months old. I got 14,000 miles on the car, and I'll probably have 24,000 miles on by the time I order my new one. But if you don't put a lot of miles on the car, it may not be the best program for you. That's why our retiree-friendly dealers might be a better deal for a lease rate through them. But if you do have a program and you do put a lot of miles in the car, or you have insurance issues that the Retire Lease Car program covers, it probably is a good program for you. But okay, why did the things go up? What has changed? If you remember, it was canceled back around 2008, 2009, or whatever, when the company was going through some bankruptcy issues. It came back in 2013. And I will tell you, even though they don't want me to say this, but it came back. A lot of the reason it came back was the fact that the NCRO did a lot of work with Pete Grady, who was the vice president at the time of Fleet. And I spent a lot of time with Pete on the phone or back and forth with email, and pushed, because we had done research back that long ago and found out that retirees using the lease car program, showing new cars to individuals, were responsible for somewhere around 50,000 sales, which is great. And that's what we as retirees should do to help the company. So it was interesting that I went back and looked at all these emails, which I have on file, and it was interesting that Janet Quillis Roach, who is now in charge of the program, was one of the underlings working for Pete Grady at the time. So it was really interesting as I talked to the people there, that they've been around long enough to know this stuff. So it was interesting for us to go back in and do this kind of research. Now, the reason the costs are going up is because the cost of the program is going up. And in order for the program to exist, it's got to be somewhat viable financially for the company. They can't lose a lot of money on the program, or it just doesn't make a lot of sense for them. So here are the things that they say are issues. Tariffs has caused issues with things. Other thing is increased interest rates. We know the interest rates have gone up, and that causes issues with them because they borrowed money to do certain things on it. Increased warranty costs. We'd hope they fix that with better quality, but increased warranty costs. And then probably the biggest one that I think is the impact on it is increased program costs. More claims, more issues and claims, more losses on vehicles with cars coming back. And probably the biggest issue that's caused all this stuff is more vehicle damage. I'm not going to talk about why we think there's more vehicle damage, but there's more vehicle damage that's causing the cost of the program to go up. The interesting thing in discussions with them, they really do work at this continually, trying to look at vehicles and which ones have better resale value. And if you know anything, why are the lower level vehicles not available, and why are they mostly premium vehicles? Well, premium vehicles hold a better residual value than lower end vehicles. Therefore, it doesn't cause a cost of the program. So that's why you end up seeing a little more of vehicles that are high end versus the low end vehicles. Other issue, and they look at these things and say, okay, if a vehicle has low viability, it has low resale value, and it's going to come back with more damage, therefore it's going to cost a lot. And they look at it and say, okay, what would the lease rate be? And if the lease rate's going to be something that doesn't seem to be viable for us as retirees, they don't put the cars in the program. The other thing is, and retail is king, if there's vehicles that the dealers need because they're selling them at retail and the company makes money on them, they're going to keep those cars in a retail business versus putting it in the lease business. So those are kind of the reasons why these have come up. And I would argue that probably the biggest reason is cars coming back with more damage. The one thing that they did say to me, which I think is something you don't really think about, is the individuals that work on these programs, the fleet programs, get the retail programs to get the lease rates. They're also the people that lease the vehicles as well. So they have a built-in incentive to try to keep the costs down. I remember back, for those of you who were back many, many years ago and had the Bet Your Check program, if that was, anybody affected that? I know I was in the Detroit zone at the time. You know what I did? I bet every dime I could bet. Why? Because I knew Mr. Iacocca and all the other senior managers were going to make sure we made money. So I was going to bet that they were going to make money. So it's the same thing here with these individuals. They are trying to keep the retail, the rates on the lease car program as low as they can keep them, because they're the ones that are leasing them as well. So the other thing is, they said, if you have issues, and if you really, this isn't a good enough explanation, you really have issues, write this number down. If you don't know it, 800-481-6736, and talk to them about it. They have Q&A issues. They have things that you can talk to them about. And if that doesn't work, call us, and we'll try to get involved in it as well. Next, the NRLN update. I think it's interesting for us to understand what we're doing with the NRLN, because it takes it away from the company and puts it into the national basis for things that are really affecting us. So there's two things I want to talk about. First of all, we had a call with the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation, people that are responsible if the pensions are terminated and they're taken over by them. So we had a meeting with them, and it was interesting. They called the meeting. They called the NRLN and said, we would like to meet with you. And I take that as an incredible validation of what the NRLN has done over the past several years with working with Washington and whatever. So they're respected enough. The organization, your organization, as you're part of, happen to be the vice president of legislative affairs for it, and some of our other people are on the board. To have the a governmental organization call us and say, hey, we'd like to meet with you. So we spent an hour with them, and these are the individuals that were on the phone. Michael Ray happens to be someone who's very, he likes us a lot, I should say. In fact, one of his first comments was, hey, Jay, are you guys still having those meetings with your members? That was yesterday. And I said, well, Michael, absolutely. We're having one tomorrow. So I said, hopefully we could learn something and I can give him some information. So he's a really good friend. The other individuals, as you go down the list of that, Ann Henderson, the second one, third one down, she happens to be an advocate group within the PBGC who advocates for retirees. So if there's a retiree issue that you're concerned with, you can actually call Ann at the PBGC, and she doesn't report to anybody there. She reports directly to the director of the PBGC, which is a lady by the name of Janet Dillman. Ashley Romanius happens to be Janet Dillman's chief of staff. So she was there, was very interested. She's new. So we had an opportunity to spend some time with them and to just exchange ideas and information. The issues that we have with the PBGC are basically two reasons, or two things. One of them is when they determine, if they take over a pension plan, they determine the value of the assets there. They use a crazy interest rate that increases the liabilities, which then means that the percentage of funding that would be there is reduced. So I take Delphi for an example. When Delphi was taken over by the PBGC, Delphi looked like, when they did an analysis, their pension plan was funded at 87%. They're getting about an average of 40% of their pension because of the way the PBGC figures the assets and liabilities. So we have a real issue with that. It's been for years that we've had that issue. And the other thing we're working on with them is they have a surplus in the amount of money they have in order to pay for pensions if they take them over. It was interesting, in 2018 and 2019, they were negative in terms of their funding levels. projections are for the next year or two, there'll be $70 billion in surplus. So there's a lot of pressure on the PBGC to reduce corporate payments that they make for us retirees. Interestingly, it comes out of our pension monies, eventually to be paid for by the company. But that's a huge issue that we have concerns about, that we would like to tap into it, and it's a whole other issue about us tapping into it. We discussed a couple of things with them. One, as we've talked about, we're working on a pension guarantee if the company annuitizes you. And I don't know how many people in here might have been part of an annuitization that Chrysler's done. We're trying to get ERISA changed, as I've said, to protect pensioners, because if you get an annuity, excuse me, if you get an annuity, you lose a PBGC protection. So if something were to happen with the insurance company, then you go back to state insurance guarantees, which, like in Michigan, is $250,000 for a lifetime. So we're trying to get a third-party requirement within ERISA to have third-party insurance to protect if the insurance company goes out of business. There's two ways to pay for it. One, through the federal government Congress passing it and saying, okay, we'll fund it and pay for it, which could or could not happen through appropriations. The other way we think is a possibility is have the PBGC handle it, because we believe that with $70 billion worth of assets, that they can clearly handle a third-party payment if something were to happen. So that's another one we have. Their sale to us was, they have a couple of programs they put into effect. The first one is there's amicus briefs. So they're amicus briefs. If there's a lawsuit and people are asking for information about a lawsuit, so if there's a lawsuit on termination of a pension plan, they in fact will work with the individuals that are suing the company and put together amicus briefs to the judges in order to support or provide information on why the pensioners should be protected and not the company. That's one. And two, they also will write opinion letters on things in support of retirees that are having issues with pensions. And the third thing is they actually develop practical guides, much like we did, John Kaiser did for individuals who pass away and how our families can take care of things. They do that for organizations. So if there are issues with pensions and terminations, that they have practical guides on how to handle that. So again, it was a real interesting call. I think that what I got out of it is their desire to talk to us, the NRLN, and basically that's basically talking to as much the NCRO as well as the NRLN, because on the board of the NCRO or acting in the NRLN, 4 of the NCRO people, myself, Deb Morissette, Dana Oliver, and are involved in the management of the NRLN. So I won't say that we drive it, but we do a lot of work on it. So that's to keep you up to date on that. Now, the other thing is, I said Washington's kind of messed up. There's a lot going on in terms of, obviously, November is our election to elect House of Reps and senators coming up. Please vote. Vote your conscience. Vote what you think is best for the country and best for us as retirees. But what we continue to work on is what I told you, the pension risk transfers, trying to protect people that are annuitized. The other thing we continue to work on is the Susan Muffley Act, which is trying to help the Delphi guys who got screwed, quite frankly, 16 and a half years ago when all that happened. I'll say it again. I appreciate the NCRO. I wasn't a member at the time this happened, so I can thank the NCRO for doing this. When I think back to that period of time when Chrysler went bankrupt and we had Delphi bankruptcy and Chrysler bankruptcy, 2 things happened. One good, one not so good. The good thing that happened was the NCRO leadership got a really good attorney, went to Washington, D.C., met with the auto task force, and basically got the auto task force to change what was going to happen to us. They originally, in the memorandum of agreement in terms of the merger with Fiat, the new company, they said they were going to transfer pensions. The pensions they were going to transfer, if you looked at it, the front pages said all pensions will be transferred to the new company. And Mike Kane, bless his heart and rest his soul, he read back to page 147. And 147 described what all pensions meant. It meant all union pensions. Salary retirement pensions were going to go to the PBGC. They argued, got it changed, flipped it, and all of our pensions came to the new company. Delphi, didn't happen. Same people there, same thing, same comments, same discussions. They were all dumped to the PBGC. So I thank my predecessors and all the guys that did all that work, because we're sitting here with our pensions being paid by the company because of that situation. So we're fighting for the Delphi guys through the Susan Monthly Act, trying to get them repaired after 16 and a half years. It's not going well because we have some infighting with the DSRA, the Delphi retiree guys, but we're trying to work that out. The last thing is, I said we're not going to Washington until February. It just doesn't seem that the things we're working on right now, we've been told by like Senator Sanders' staff and the staff of a lot of the appropriate organizations that they're doing all the research right now to try to get things done, but nothing's going to happen until 2027. So we're kind of just working with them. And then once we find out who's all elected and who's representing us, we'll go back in February or March, and then we'll start hitting it hard to get things that we need to get done. Again, thank you all for being here. Without you, we wouldn't be here fighting for you guys and trying to make sure that our pensions and benefits as best we can are taken care of. So again, we really appreciate your support. Appreciate it. Thanks.